it depends on how big you want your results in the end. Right? Donna, I think, has 2 or 3 sizes in her kits. This one's a 1/2 inch. She might have 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch. These brushes definitely, I tend, like this one's all gone fuzzy now, and it's not gotten, it's probably lost its chisel. We can play with that brush. Definitely it's a limit, it's a little bit limited, and definitely you gotta, again, like any brush stroke, you gotta make sure that you're having a nice chisel to it, that you can flatten it out. Right, and then, but a lot of times we end up doing a lot of daisy strokes with it. And if you only did daisy strokes with that brush, eventually, you might be frying the ends. Like, I think that's what happened to this one. I have some that are older than others, and it's gotten curly on me weird, right? It's separating here a little bit. But what I like about this brush is more of the flip flop. I'm running out of paint. Right, and I'm side loading still 2 colors. Right, you're a little bit more on an angle instead of the daisy stroke with it. I would still use a flat brush for daisy strokes. Or if you really want to do daisy strokes, then I would pull out a round brush if you want to try something different. Yeah, and you can load those the same way. You can actually you do more flip-flops. You're going to flop in one color and then flop into the other color. So you have 2 colors on your brush at the same time. And then when you push down, depending on if you have the light on the top or the dark on the top, or even half and half, you're going to get different effects. Now this is the dry brush, and I'm running out of paint. So let me get some fresh paint here so I can show you guys. Yeah, because if you wet it, you should be able to have a chisel, it should be in nice shape, just alone with water. Depends on the angle you push down on it, a little bit flat, but a little bit on an angle, or is it totally flat, or is it totally on its side? So it's almost like a lazy flat, right? So you got a little bit of a crunch happening. Oops, I keep trying to multi-load. Right, so you pull out your paint a little bit, and what I like to do too is bring out my paint a little bit more. And I wouldn't dilute it the same way when I show you guys how to do this with your round brush, and I show you guys again how to do it with your liner brush. But you can do this, and I show you again with a flat brush in the tulips. Right, but I still would want like a thicker paint. I wouldn't want it to be diluted with water. So you're going to pick up one color on one side, come over, pick up your other color on the other side. So then when you go to do your stroke, again, if you want to do like a leaf pattern, the more pressure, you're going to have smaller leaves. Come pick up. And then as I come down, I might want to have, a little bit bigger. Sometimes I have a lot of red on my brush. Sometimes I'll choose just to go and pick up a little bit more white if I want a lighter color. But see, I can put the red on the top, and you're going to get usually more red showing on whatever's on top. You usually see follow through. Okay, so let's try that again. Maybe I got too much white in my brush. So it is a technique that you got to play with a little bit more. And then once you start to see the results you're looking for, more dark than light, right? So if I have the light on the top, usually it follows through on top. You'll get more lighter leaf. So if you pretend these are 2 greens that I'm playing with. Alright, so you see the nice streaks that are happening? And you're right, if you go over this twice, you're gonna wreck your streaks that you get before. So, if you go over this too many times, it might start getting muddy because you're over blending. So, yeah, definitely warm up on some paper or something. Make sure that you're happy with your brush, getting the result. It's always frayed at the end. It's really hard to get a nice point. But usually you're going to put a center in there anyways, right over the edge. And you're not going to see that finish anyways. So as long as you're getting a nice load, even amount of color, and just maybe put more paint on your brush. And it's just like your one-stroke leaf. As soon as you're pushing down, you're starting to pull it up to the point. There's no dragging. You don't want, unless you really want a long type leaf, then you're really going to push and then slowly drag it to a point. But you can only go as big as your brush will let you. So if you want a bigger brush, a bigger leaf than this, then you have to go to a bigger brush. So you don't have to push so hard. Because you do get a nicer leaf with a gentle little punch down and pull up. Right away. You shouldn't overwork your brush. Yeah, it does make a difference. Right? Because like our flat brushes, they get wrecked too. And if you've had it for a long time, and I have an old brown one here from the old Pro set. And I've had that for a long time, and then I just opened a new set recently, and it's beautiful, right? So definitely all your brushes make a difference. Warm up. Play with some practice strokes first, right? And then try. And this year I'm going a little bit smaller. So maybe you're trying to drag too much with the smaller brush.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm doing too.
So you need to get to a bigger brush. So as soon as you push down, you're starting to pull up. So they're nice and punchy. They're not, this brush looks nicer with smaller little punchy strokes. I find you get that little extra drag and movement from a flat brush. And you can get a softer edge, right? You don't have to have that, let me get this loaded a little bit more. Right, again, when you go an underdirect, you're going to get that soft little start too, right? So, yeah, even with your little flat brushes, like again, this is an 8 now. Any size can be a challenge. We all have our favorite, and sometimes smaller is harder. Right, so if you go straight up on your chisel and do a daisy stroke with a brand new brush, you're going to get that point at the top of your leaf. Right, you'll get the daisy look. But if you go and put a little bit of an angle, so you're flopping down a little bit more, and then you're directed towards yourself, not so up and down, you'll get a softer, rounder edge. Even with your flat brush.
Yeah, okay.
Right, so you definitely load your brush differently with the Filbert. And then you're going to put the colors on each side. As I normally, if you're getting it too dark, then maybe you're putting too much dark. So maybe, a third dark to 2/3 white, right? Try to get a really big load of white and a smaller load of red, so that you get dominantly more lighter color. But a lot of the time when you're doing this kind of thing, the more variety you get, the better it looks, right?
Okay, thanks, Mandy.
Oh, no problem. I love all the questions. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you've got questions, then definitely this is the place to come and meet me live on Zoom.